There is nothing quite like the feeling of watching your own parents try to have you arrested for trespassing on a property that you secretly own. The elite Oak Ridge Crest Country Club had been the playground for my family for decades, a place where multi-million-dollar deals were made over expensive dinners. I was always considered the permanent failure of the family, the daughter who never managed to fit their rigid expectations. My older sister Brooke was the golden child who perfectly mirrored the high standards of our parents, holding degrees and marrying an incredibly wealthy corporate executive. Meanwhile, I had dropped out of college early, bounced between basic retail jobs, and preferred buying clothes from normal department stores. On that specific Sunday morning, I made the major mistake of arriving at the family brunch wearing simple jeans and a casual blazer. The moment I walked onto the grand terrace, the face of my father twisted into complete disgust as if he were looking at a total stranger. He stood up immediately and told me that I was not allowed to sit with them while looking so cheap. My mother set down her drink and openly criticized my outfit, stating that this exclusive venue required proper decorum rather than casual attire. Brooke returned from the restroom looking absolutely flawless in a designer dress that cost more than my entire monthly budget for living expenses. She stopped in her tracks and asked if I was serious about showing up to a private club looking like a vagrant. My father Preston, a powerful real estate mogul who was over 6 feet tall, began to lecture me about how my presence damaged the family name. I calmly reminded them that they had explicitly invited me to this brunch during a phone call earlier that week. My mother Eleanor snapped back that she expected me to possess the basic common sense to dress appropriately for their high social circle. Brooke demanded that I leave the terrace immediately because other wealthy members were starting to stare and whisper about the obvious public drama. My father stated that my very presence was a deep humiliation and threatened to call the building management to escort me away. My mother and sister turned their backs to me, completely erasing me from the table before the regular food even arrived. Instead of driving away in tears like they expected, I decided to follow my father inside the main clubhouse to see how far he would go. The interior of the main building featured massive crystal chandeliers and expensive oil paintings of the historic founders from a century ago. My father was already standing at the front desk, loudly demanding that the uniformed staff remove an unwelcome guest from the premises. The general manager Victoria approached the desk with practiced professional grace and asked how she could assist the prominent board member. My father pointed directly at me, demanding my immediate removal because I was violating the strict dress code and embarrassing his family. My mother and sister walked inside just in time to watch what they believed would be my ultimate public disgrace. Victoria maintained a completely neutral expression and used her radio to call the top security officers along with the director of operations. The director of operations, an elegant woman named Diane, walked into the marble lobby accompanied by my personal executive assistant Caleb. Diane looked at my father and announced that the actual owner of the country club was currently standing right in front of them. Victoria then introduced me by my full name, confirming to the entire room that I had purchased the entire property months ago. The silence in the lobby became absolutely deafening as the face of my father turned completely white from shock. Caleb stepped forward and opened a leather folder, presenting the official corporate acquisition documents that detailed the entire multi-million-dollar purchase. He explained that my hospitality firm had acquired the struggling club and funded the massive new renovations for the tennis facilities and the dining rooms. My mother took a physical step backward while the smartphone of my sister slipped from her fingers and crashed onto the floor. I explained quietly that I had been managing successful commercial properties for years after building my own independent investment company. My family had spent a decade treating me like a total failure, never bothering to ask about my life because I did not follow their chosen path. I turned to Diane and requested the immediate review of the official membership contract belonging to the family of my father. She produced a digital tablet and confirmed that the club ownership retained the absolute right to terminate any membership for bad behavior. My father realized what was happening and frantically asked what I was doing, his previous confidence completely vanishing in front of the crowd. I asked the management team to define the exact penalty for a member who attempted to falsely remove the property owner. Victoria responded clearly that such actions resulted in immediate membership termination, a permanent ban, and the automatic removal from the governing board. My father gasped for air as he realized his prestigious position as the prospective board president was completely destroyed. My mother began to plead with me while Brooke openly wept, realizing that their high social standing was entirely in my hands. The years of emotional neglect, cruel comments, and cold family dinners flashed through my mind as I looked at their desperate faces. I announced that the board position of my father was officially suspended, and all their memberships were revoked for 30 days. I instructed the security officers to politely escort the three of them off the property since suspended individuals were forbidden from remaining. My father pleaded that this private club was their entire social life, but I told him he should have valued his daughter more than a dress code. They were marched out the front doors in front of a growing crowd of whispering members. I went out to my vehicle and sat alone for a long time as frantic text messages began to flood my phone. My mother claimed that the stress caused the blood pressure of my father to dangerous levels, while Brooke blamed me for ruining her reputation. The next morning, my legal team advised me to offer a strategic path toward reconciliation rather than engaging in a lengthy court battle. I contacted my father that afternoon and offered to reinstate their club access under very strict conditions that required a written apology. My father accepted the terms and admitted that he was deeply sorry for ignoring my achievements simply because they were behind the scenes. He confessed that he should have accepted me for who I was, marking the first time he had ever validated my existence. The following Sunday, I returned to the same country club terrace, wearing the exact same casual jeans and simple blazer. My family stood up to welcome me respectfully, offering me the best seat at the table overlooking the pristine golf course. We did not instantly become a perfect family, but we finally began an honest relationship built on mutual respect rather than superficial status.